Okay, here we go. Passage 21, the death of Hannibal by Nepos. Here we've got the translation itself. Take a look at this, pause it, and then we'll work through it together. Okay. First sentence. Hannibal enim uno loco se tenebat in castello quod a rege datum erat, idque sic aedificarat ut in omnibus partibus aedifici exitus haberet, scilicet verens ne usu veneret, quod accidit. Alright, let's work our way through this together. Hannibal enim uno loco se tenebat. For Hannibal was keeping himself in the one place. Hannibal se tenebat, was keeping himself in uno loco, in the same place, in the one place. In castello quod a rege datum erat, in a castle quod datum erat, which had been given by the king. Castello there, the root of our word castle actually coming from castra, camp, and a castella was a little camp. So our word castle actually comes from the Latin for a little camp. So, for Hannibal, enim Hannibal, for Hannibal was keeping himself, se tenebat, imperfect there, in the one place, in a castle, quod, which, datum erat, had been given, pluperfect passive, by the king, idque sic aedificarat. Aedificarat, as it says at the bottom of the translation, is an alternative form of the pluperfect that we've got here. And, the que at the end of the id, and he had aedificarat, he had built it, seek, thus. As soon as I see this word seek, as soon as I see that word seek, you'll notice that I'm trying out a new technique here with the underlining of things, and he had built it thus, that in all parts aedifici of the building, haberet, he had an exit. So, for that bit, we've obviously got then the idea that ut, he had built it, seek, thus. As soon as I see that trigger word, I'm looking for a subjunctive, and I have it in haberet. So what I have here is a result clause. He aedificarat, he had built it so that, ut, he had built it thus, that he haberet. He built it in such a way, maybe you could say, that he haberet, that he had, it could be he had, it could be it had, I suppose still referring to the id, as the castle had, that it had exitus, that it had exits in omnibus partibus, in all parts aedifici, genitive there, of the building. Scilicet. Obviously, verens, fearing, we notice that ens ending that we have there, the ens ending telling us that we are dealing with a present participle, clearly fearing, that this might turn out ne uso venire, that lest this may come in use. Obviously fearing that this may turn out to be useful, quod accidit, which happened. Long sentence there. So again, you need to look at all of the words and figure out what's your subject, what's your object, where's your main verb as you go through it. Nothing too difficult, I don't think, in that sentence there. Huc cum legati Romani venisent, ac domum eos circum dedisent, puer ab janua prospiciens dixit Hannibali prures armatos apparere. Okay, this next bit. Cum, as soon as I see cum, I'm looking for a subjunctive ending, which I find in the venisent part there. So it's cum venisent, a temporal clause. So cum legati Romani venisent. When the Roman envoys, venisent, pluperfect subjunctive, had come here, ac, and they circum dedisent, again we've got a subjunctive, pluperfect subjunctive ending there, and they had surrounded his home. Puer, a boy, I suppose here almost the idea is that it would be a slave boy, but a boy, prospiciens, looking out from the door, prospiciens there. We've got the ens ending, telling us that we are dealing with a present participle again. So looking out, the nominative present participle form, looking out from the door, dixit, said to Hannibal. As soon as I see this word dixit, very important, as soon as I see a word of saying or thinking, I'm looking for an accusative and I'm looking for an infinitive. So where can I find an accusative, where can I find an infinitive in that particular sentence? And I can find them in armatos, plures, there's my accusative, and then the apparere infinitive. So, we have there this boy, this slave boy, looking out from the door, dixit, said, Hannibali, dative case there, said to Hannibal, plures armatos, more armed men, apparere, to be approaching. Now that doesn't sound very good, so we would say he said to Hannibal that more armed men, apparere, were approaching. Accusative infinitive there, an indirect statement. As soon as we see this word, dixit, we look for our accusative infinitive, which we find at the end of it. He said to Hannibal that more armed men were approaching. Okay, next. Qui imperavit ut omnes fores aedifici circumiret, ac propere sibi nuntiaret, num eodem modo undique obsideretur. Who ordered him? Now this is obviously a change of subject, so the qui is referring here now to Hannibal. Who ordered him. As soon as I see a word ordering, I'm going to be looking for a subjunctive, which I can find here in the circum eret, and I can find here in the nuntiaret. And so as soon as I see that, then I'm thinking, right, I've got an order, where is my subjunctive? There they are. That means that I'm going to be dealing with indirect commands. So, this sentence, who ordered him, as in Hannibal ordered the slave boy, who ordered him, ut, to circumerat, to go around, omnes fores, all the gates, all the entrances, aedifici, of the building. Ac, and, nuntiaret, still part of this indirect command, and to announce to him and to tell him, propere, tell him quickly, num, whether, undique obsideretur, whether he was obsideretur, whether he was being besieged, eodem modo, in the same way, undique, everywhere. Now the num is important, because what we have here is again a subjunctive with the obsideretur. Why is that subjunctive? It is the num that makes that subjunctive, and he was announcing whether, and announced to him whether he was being besieged. What we have there is an indirect question. Am I being besieged? Is he being besieged on all sides? So the num is actually there, starting off an indirect question, which we get through the subjunctive of the obsideretur. Okay, so let's go through that sentence again, because it is quite difficult. Qui imperavit, who ordered him, ut, to circumiret, to go around, omnes fores, all the entrances, aedifici, all the doors, aedifici, genitive, of the building, ac propere, and quickly, nuntiaret, announce, still indirect command, sibi, to him, num, whether, obsideretur, the num, trigger word telling us that we are dealing with an indirect question, whether he obsideretur, the imperfect passive subjunctive there, whether he was being besieged, eodem modo, in the same manner, undique, everywhere. Puer cum celeriter quid esset renuntiaset, omnesque exitus occupatos ostendeset, sensit id non fortuito factum, sed peti neque sibi diutius vitam esse retinendam. This, I believe, ladies and gentlemen, is our difficult sentence. This is the one that is going to be deciding whether or not you were going to get a very good or simply a good mark. So let's go through it slowly. Puer, obviously. Puer cum. Again, I see the cum and I'm looking for a subjunctive, and I have the renuntiaset, the subjunctive. Of course, esset is as well, but esset has got the quid before it. So let's do this first sentence. Cum puer. That's okay. When the boy, celeriter, quickly, now renuntiaset. That is the one that comes with the cum. When the boy quickly had announced, renuntiaset, pluperfect subjunctive there. When the boy had quickly announced, quid esset. I see the quid, this word here, and I'm looking for a subjunctive, which I find here. So, what we have there is when the boy had renuntiaset, announced quid esset, what was happening, as it says there, what the situation was. We've got at the bottom of our translation. When the boy quickly had announced what was happening. So we have there a temporal clause, and within it, an indirect question. When the boy quickly had announced what was happening, omnes que exitus occupatos ostendeset. So the que and ostendeset, and had shown, Still the subjunctive ostendiset, because the ostendiset is still part of the cum clause, of the temporal clause that we have there. So, and had shown that all the gates occupatos, and had shown all the gates, and had shown him all the occupied exits, we've said, sensit id, he felt it not factum, not done by chance. He felt that it had not happened by accident. Sed peti, but to be, petty, but to be attacked there. Now what we've got there for petty is, I see that and I realise that that is a passive infinitive. Why? Because of the sensit. And whenever we see a verb of saying or thinking, or in this case feeling, he felt, sensit, he felt that he, petty, was being. It is an indirect statement. He felt himself to be being attacked. So he felt that he was being attacked, neque sibi, and this is where it gets difficult, and not to him, diutius, for any longer, vitam, life, esse retinendam, to be being kept. Now that obviously sounds awful, so let's change it around. But he felt that he was being attacked, we've got that bit, indirect statement there, and that vitam, and that life should not be clung to, retinendam. We have there a gerundive, the end, the end bit, there, the end bit tells us that we're dealing with a gerundive, and the am ending at the end of it, obviously, is again telling us the fact that it's feminine ending means that it has to be referring to the vitam, that it is agreeing with the vitam, therefore it's not a gerund, and that life should not be clung to, sibi, by him, diutius. We've got there a comparative adverb, ius. Remember, lots of people forget that, the ius at the end turning an adverb into a comparative adverb, and that life should not be clung to by him for any longer. Let's make that sound better and let's put that in the active. But that he was being attacked and that he should not cling to life any longer. Diutius. Quam ne alieno arbitrio dimiteret, memor pristinarum virtutum, venenum, quod semper secum habere consuerat, sumpsit. Last sentence, a little bit easier now. Ne, in order not to dimiteret, not to literally go away at the command of another, from another's command. We don't want to say that. So as not to die at someone else's command. Memor. The ne here, we have ne plus the subjunctive, negative purpose clause. In order not to die at someone else's command. Memor. Mindful of the virtue, pristinarum, of his ancestors, remembering the virtue of his ancestors. Venenum sumpsit. There's our main verb, venenum. Sorry, there's sumpsit is our main verb. Then we've got venenum in the accusative. So he took the poison. Again, it was a difficult sentence to figure out what case each word is in. So he took the poison. Quod, which, relative clause there, consuerat, he had been accustomed, which he had become accustomed, habere, to have with him, semper, always. And that is the story of the end of Hannibal's life. I wish you all a very happy Easter.